We're live after much technical faffery. The HighBrarians Thursday night live, almost Friday morning live, to be honest with you. Probably my fault. I live in 1996. Shaun, good to see you. I imagine you're tired. Did you stay up and watch the Barca game?
No.
Did anyone? I actually did. I wasn't planning to. I got a nice early night, and it was one of those weird ones where I actually just woke up in time. I've seen a couple of people say the same thing today. That I think it's just that it just annoyed me so much going to bed that I wasn't going to be watching it, and I paid for it. And not to get into an anti-Arsenal.com rant, but they won't let you watch it on the. Why wouldn't they let me watch it? The whole highlights package. It's just anyway.
Yeah.
No, so I missed the Lewandowski goal. Of course, I've seen it since. I did start watching it just in time to watch the Saka goal, a right-footed goal from Saka, and him missing a penalty as well, which I just wanted lots to talk about, obviously, lots to talk about. Yeah. But since we do have one of the world's foremost penalty specialists on the pitch, could we probably think about letting Jorginho take the penalties from now on?
And Havertz takes penalties too.
Don't care. Jorginho, I don't think has ever missed one. He's ice cold. He was Chelsea's penalty taker. He is absolutely phenomenal at it. It's his massive brain.
Yeah, it's a thought. I mean, it's nice to know Arteta's showing faith in his penalty takers, saying you're still taking penalties. He missed one. He felt it as well. He was gutted. He was really. He had his head in his hands. He couldn't believe it.
I think you'd have to at least pretend to be gutted in that situation, wouldn't you?
He did a really good job.
Unless he was having like a PTSD flashback to the European Championships, and it was like all too much for him again.
Yeah, well, maybe. I mean, he's a great penalty taker. Well, yeah, it was a clear.
Well, hold on. Great penalty taker. West Ham. Now he's not a great penalty. Great penalty takers don't miss them. Like Jimmy Greaves said, 12 yards out just the keeper to beat. How could you ever miss him? I'm inclined to agree with him, actually.
He scored a lot. Nick, you take this. Go. Close the door. Go. Then go the other side of it and then close it. All right.
No. Yeah, so penalty shootouts. No, he's not a great penalty taker, but he is a hero for stepping up to take them. I'm not trying to do him down or anything. I just think if Jorginho was taking them, fair enough. Also, if we get into another penalty shootout, bring Turner in, because I don't remember Ramsdale ever saving one.
Never saved one.
No, I mean, I said on one of the videos I did this week, I don't remember him diving the right way. He has dived the right way, but he just doesn't seem to dive the right way enough. Yeah, you know.
Oh, man. Sorry. My total authority is not being questioned at any stage. Yeah, well, Jorginho is a great penalty taker. Havertz was taking the penalties for Chelsea. I think he takes them for Germany as well sometimes. So we've got a few options there.
Stop saying Kai Havertz. Jorginho is arguably one of the world's best penalty takers. Why are you talking about Kai Havertz? Kai Havertz took penalties for Chelsea when Jorginho left.
Yeah, you're right.
Just look up Jorginho's penalty. So, I mean, there's no more talk about Kai Havertz. I don't want to put him under any more pressure. Everyone is just all over us at the moment. You know, is Kai Havertz going to work out? Yes, he'll be fine. Is Declan Rice a dud?
Exactly. No, he's rubbish. He hasn't scored a hat trick yet. Okay, I'm going to keep it.
Right, Shaun, you've still got your.
I know. Declan Rice hasn't scored a hat trick yet, and I'm just not. Excuse me.
You have somebody went the other way behind you.
Yeah, no, that's true. Yeah. They're obsessed They're obsessed with the live blog and they want to be a part of it. And I'm sorry about that. And he's gone to get his toothbrush. So anyway, let's talk about Barcelona. We've got a win. We scored 5 goals. I think it's obviously very, very positive. We scored 10 goals in the last 2 games. Yes, we did lose against Man United. I was concerned about the first goal by Barcelona. That move down the left wing. It was Salib that was marking and didn't quite get the block in, even though he seemed to be okay for pace. And then we didn't quite get the block in the shot, and then Lewandowski cleaned up. It seemed like a very Arsenal goal to concede. Would you agree?
It was a bit. Well, to be honest with you, I think on the one hand, nobody's criticising Ramsdale for parrying it. It was a good save, but it's one of those saves into the danger area, so it spins loose. To be honest with you, I was expecting a lot more. Like because I didn't see the first goal. Obviously, I started watching it after they'd scored the first goal, and I was expecting it to have been a sort of a better goal. But I think it's just pre-season. Like the first things first, when you start watching and you start looking at it, you think, I looked at the lineup really quickly before I started watching it because I was expecting it to be half time when I started watching it, and obviously the delay meant it was longer. I saw Ben White was playing on the right, and I thought, oh, that's a shame he's not playing Timber. And then I saw Timber on the pitch, and I was like, what is actually going on now? And then you realise that Timber's now being tried on left. Okay, I get it. It's pre-season, time to try different things. He played really well, I thought. But what's weird about that is you've got Zinchenko or Kivior or Tomiyasu or Timber or, heaven forfend, you might throw on Tierney. I mean, that's the only position Tierney can play. And the idea that there's now 4 players ahead of him must be sick.
Yeah.
I don't know what Tierney's done, but I will say, look, it's fairly obvious that Tierney's style of football doesn't suit the way we play. He's not going to invert. However, I did feel like he played really well when he came on, and it's not clear. I don't know if he was actually looking for Trossard when he whipped the ball towards him, but it was a great pass, and Trossard just instepped it into the far. Trossard it's a lovely goal. I mean, it wasn't Fabio Vieira.
Trossard was at the match, wasn't he? I think he was. Yeah. Which, considering how Saka played,
2 goals.
It's a good effort. Not bad at all. But yeah, look, I'm mystified by it. We've still got Tierney, and I don't believe it's entirely because we haven't had the right offer for him. What I'm surprised about is that he hasn't started when Timber started on the right.
Listen, I know that Timber has in the past played on the left. He's versatile. Obviously, he's Ajax Academy, so he'd probably play in goal if you needed him to. But it does say something about the fact that Tierney isn't. We're so determined to invert in the way that we do with that sort of 2-3-5 attack when we're in situations where we're getting more of the ball. I understand that, and I definitely could see Timber being brilliant at that. Timber playing really well. Zinchenko's not going to play a full season. That's becoming obvious. He may not even be fit for the start of the season. Although I think he's in training, so there's no reason to think he might not be. But with Zinchenko, who's the first choice after Zinni? Are we still looking for it? Because I think Tomiyasu got picked when we played Man City at home, just to nullify the threat on the wing. And obviously he gave away the goal to Kevin De Bruyne, although maybe only Kevin De Bruyne would have scored that. But then you've got, I think Tomiyasu's so not my first choice to cover Zinchenko, but we saw a lot of Kivior playing in that role. Now, obviously, Kivior has all the skills, probably long-term, to do that job. Where are we up to? Like, if Timber, Tierney, Tomiyasu, like, which one is covering Zinchenko?
Yeah, well, and the answer for this season, or even the first half of the season, may be different from longer term. I believe that Kivior is being played at left back, not because they wanted to play him at left back, but because he's the heir apparent to Gabriel. And the reason for that is that when we go to the 3 at the back, our 4 turns into 3, the left centre back needs to be a left back in possession, and the right centre back needs to be a right back in possession. I think that the one stuck in the middle more often than not is going to be Saliba, and we're going to have Ben White on kind of thing going on the right as a right centre back becoming a right back, or we're going to have Kivior on the left and the left centre back becoming a left back. That's the way I see things going in that regard. And well, we saw a mistake from Gabriel on the halfway line, but it was just a pre-season mistake, so we're not read too much into it. At the same time,
pre-season. You know, like, I mean, nobody was really on their Dean. I mean, like, it wasn't like. I think it's funny watching how people get carried away. The first and most important thing to remember is Barcelona were crap. You know, I think our pressing was excellent. Our physicality was excellent. It was a definite step up from. You really got the feeling that they were upset with how they performed against Man United and put it right. I love all that, and I actually think, if it comes down to it, there's an age-old question here: is what is the purpose of a friendly? If you're not going to play, like I said in my video last week, if you put a shirt on, play like you've got a shirt on. Because that's the dream. You know, if you said to me you can only play one game for Arsenal your whole life and it'll be a friendly, I'd play that friendly like it was a cup final. I don't see the point
if it's in front of 80,000 people, you don't right you play 70. Excuse me. That's more than you get at Ashburton Grove. So, that's a lot of people who are paying money to come and see you. There's pressure.
And the owner. Let's not forget, you're also playing in front of the bloke who pays all the wages. So I think just on that, you should probably put in a shift.
There we go. And I think I would say to Xavi, if he was in front of me right now, look down at him and say, after Arsenal lose 2-0 to Man United, you're going to get a stiff game off them because they're going to get a rough time.
What was he thinking anyway? Like, what was he thinking? Oh, they played this like a Champions League match. And you just want to go, as opposed to what? As opposed to, just jumpers for goalposts, 3 and in, like headers and bodies. What did you think it was going to be?
Or you're playing Barcelona, get the memo, fall over and lose 20-0.
What does he, we've just had gastroenteritis. Oh, and none of us, we haven't played yet and we're not ready. It was, don't come then.
Yeah, exactly. We'll have another training session.
We'll play another MLS All-Stars select, Wayne Rooney. I just, I feel for Barcelona fans to turn up. It was really kind of sweet as well. Like you hear all these stories from people who were there. AFTV interviewed a lot of people. There's quite a few of the guys out there interviewing the fans, and you just get a sense of, look, we take it for granted that we get to watch these matches. If you want to, and you can. Well, obviously, I know you live abroad as well, but when you lived here as well, it was always something you could do. When you live in, like, I've spoken to people South Africa or Los Angeles, you're never going to get to see them. So when you do, you don't want them to turn up and sort of play in their pajamas. They've got to play. Yeah. You want to see Fabio Vieira score a goal like he did. You want something memorable. Yeah. But one of the fans did say, look, I actually started supporting Arsenal when we lost to Barcelona, and now we've beaten Barcelona. And I was like, yeah, we have beaten Barcelona. Listen, the other thing that annoys me about it is Arteta's gone so galaxy brain that he basically at the moment is like, I remember saying to you before the preseason friendlies, we'll have a better idea of what kind of tactics he's lining up with after the preseason friendlies. I'm not sure we do. Kai Havertz in the first one played pretty much in place of Saka. He played on the right. Yes, he's kind of playing that left 8, but he's not really. He's playing more, he's played more. There's so much interchange, which I really like in the squad. But I couldn't put my hand on my heart and say who's going to be starting the Community Shield.
No. Let's go, Nelly.
Community Shield. Say again, please.
I don't know who's going to be playing the Community Shield.
Right, that's a bit I miss. I don't know who's going to be playing. I don't know how they're going to be playing. It's very much my mind at the moment. We did get Havertz very quickly, and we've had, we're going to have a full pre-season with him. But I just feel that all of our changes, all of our tactical changes, all our personnel changes are in central midfield, including our right back, because he's basically a central midfield tactical change. And I'm concerned about that. I'm worried we've left ourselves too much to adapt to before the Community Shield, before the first game of the season. And I'm worried we're going to have a slow start. Our pre-season hasn't been as colourful or hasn't been as overall successful as last year. And I really thought that was a platform last year. I'm a little bit worried. Not long term, I have faith, but timing-wise, I just think we have changed the beat of the heart of the team, and it's going to take some time to adapt.
Yeah, I think I would suggest that the changes on. The other thing I'm going to add to that is we're playing Man City in the Community Shield and we're playing Nottingham Forest first game. So I think that we can get past those two. I watched Man City play Bayern. Apart from the fact that Rico Lewis looks like an absolute star in the making, I don't think they looked all that strong. I think that their preparation for the pre-season hasn't gone that well. There's been the kind of will Guardiola be signing, won't he? They've brought in Kovacic. He's not pulling up any trees for me. I don't know if we. I think we could go pretty basic in the Community Shield, and one thing I will say is that Thomas Partey, having kind of expected him to leave and not been too unhappy about it, with time running out, I am actually happy with keeping him, because when you look around, I don't see who you'd quickly replace him with, and I don't know how many minutes he's going to get this season, but I would guess it's enough to keep him happy, probably.
Yeah, well, I've never been keen on the idea of offloading him unless it was for the kind of money that you could replace him for like. I see it as a straight swap between him and Lavia, except that you get all this experience walking out and you get all of this inexperience coming in. Lavia in 2 seasons might be as good as Partey was when we bought him.
But then this is where I've said this to you before. Lavia's 2021, and Miles Lewis-Skelly's 16-17. And if you're going to have to wait 2 years for Lavia, then it comes in about the same time that, when Saka broke into the team at 17-18. I just don't know if Lavia's that strong, and he's a risk. Any transfer is a risk. Partey, we know what we're getting. I tell you what's really surprising, though, just as a slightly divergent note, Declan Rice doesn't play yesterday because he's got a tight calf. I think that was what
got a knock in training, from what I heard.
Yeah, it was because he said he had a tight calf, so they didn't want to risk him or play him. This is a guy who's played every game for 4 years except for one, and he joins Arsenal and he can't play the second game that he's eligible for.
I can't stand it.
The truth here would not go amiss as far as I'm concerned. It would be okay if Arteta didn't just have to make, he is. It's not since Ferguson and Wenger that we've had the kind of managers who are this. I mean, if you look at Klopp, he just says what he's thinking. Guardiola says what he's thinking. Now we've got Arteta who says, there's so much nonsense going on. Following Balogun's training by himself because he just got a bit lonely, or I don't know, just let him make up everything. Do you know what I mean? Everything is such kind of cloak and dagger when it doesn't really need to be. You can say, I wanted to give Declan Rice a bit of a rest in this game because I want to see. We're probably going to have to see how Thomas Partey is looking, and he's looking good. Maybe come out and be honest about the Tierney situation. Maybe stop having us guessing so much, because it is a lot of guesswork at the moment. And there's some real positives from the game. I think one of the big positives I took from it was I was watching them and thinking, this feels like a big squad now. It feels like, Balogun's not even on the bench, so I couldn't have him come on or whatever. But it feels like we've got when you're looking at Kai Havertz, you're looking at Trossard. Jesus was good again yesterday. Saka, outstanding. Martinelli wasn't on the pitch, came on later on. It was a really funny thing in the Daily Mail where they put Fabio Vieira's goal down to Martinelli and said Martinelli won the strike and had a photo of Martinelli. And even in the photo of Martinelli, he was looking like, what? It's like, how'd you get that so wrong? I should have, they took it down really quickly. But so it feels like a really big squad. But then you remember, like, Declan Rice wasn't playing.
Mm-hmm.
We've only signed 3 new players and we lost Xhaka. Shouldn't feel like this big a squad, but I feel like he's integrated players more. And we've got Emil Smith-Rowe back. He looked bright in spells. Really happy to see him.
Yeah, that's a big call. I mean, Emil Smith-Rowe, you know, as Ask Blogger would say, like a new signing. Vieira hopefully coming on. He gets his pre-season minutes. So we've got another player there where we felt we didn't have one before. So yeah, I can understand that. I mean, the ones who weren't going to play didn't play. You know, Pepe's not around. Cedric's not
It's just
around.
what I'm saying, cloak and dagger. In the last game, when he didn't play Balogun and he played Eddie Nketiah, he said that he was going to give the guys who didn't get minutes in the next match, and he didn't.
Right.
So something's happened. He specifically talking about Balogun said Balogun didn't play in this game, and so he will get minutes, and he didn't.
You remember when we sold Merson to Middlesbrough, and Wenger said, "Well, if a player wants to go, you got to let him go." And Merson was like, well, "I didn't ask to go. Fair enough. If you want to get rid of me."
Nobody has ever asked to go to Middlesbrough. Let's be clear about that, right? There could be.
Janino and Ravanelli. Was it Ravanelli?
Ravanelli and Janino went there because they didn't know what the hell Middlesbrough was. Ravanelli famously fell out with everyone. I think it was Ravanelli who said that the women here are not pretty and stuff like that. You know, it's not a place to go, is it? You know, if you're from Brazil, you're not like, oh, Middlesbrough at last. No one
I think
goes to
Ravanelli was Italian, but Janino definitely a Brazilian.
Yeah. I'm saying, like, if the answer here is that we're just never going to hear the truth until the autobiographies come out in 5 to 10 years, I can kind of live with it. I would prefer a bit of a wry smile. I would prefer, you know, if someone's going to just talk shit at me, at least kind of make it obvious, you know, what I'm doing. Go, you know, what did Balogun play? Oh, he had a note from his mum or something, because it's just silly now. You know, like, he didn't play because I don't like him. He fucking wound me up. Do you know what I mean? It's like he came back from Rem and thought he was like the dog's bollocks. He's not. He's just a naughty young man, and he'll play when I say so. That's what I want. Do you know what I mean? Like, yeah, have it right. You know what? I get it. Following Balogun thinks he's all that in a bag of chips, and I'm not. I'd love to see him. Look, Eddie Nketiah. I know there's a story that popped up today. I don't know how much to make of it. Crystal Palace are desperate to sign Eddie Nketiah. I don't see it, honestly. Although I did think that West Ham would benefit from Eddie Nketiah. I mean, there are a couple of teams out there. Brighton, West Ham could do with a player up front who just wants to score goals.
Definitely, and I think that him and probably. I mean, I don't know enough about Balogun, but I have a sneaky feeling that either of them are good to be, and this is no insult, top level, mid-table Premiership strikers. But we need that little bit extra, and you've got that horrible position that we've just gone from. We were in the UEFA Cup positions, and you could give a little bit of leeway to one or two players. Now we're in the Champions League. We can't drop points. We have to take our chances, and we've been in this position before. Remember, we had brilliant strikers before. We had Ian Wright. We had Dennis Bergkamp. We had Thierry Henry. We had Robin van Persie. These are really, really elite strikers, and a good striker, or even a very good striker, isn't going to do it for us. And it's a horrible truth, but that's where we are. And that's why, in my position, even though I'd love to see if Balogun could do it, he'd have to do it straight away. You know, not half a season, not 6 games. See how you go.
Yeah,
you know?
Do you know what? I'm not really on the same page as you in this one. I think you're talking about when we played 4-4-2. You know, I think that we're a team that scored 88 goals last season without a striker. If there were a Haaland level goal scoring machine available, then yeah, by all means we'd go and get him and we'd change our style of play. I think Alvarez would be a good get for us if we could, but City aren't going to sell him. But there just aren't the strikers out there. Look what Man United are going through to sign Rasmus Højlund. And he scored 9 goals in Serie A. Like, I mean, there is a shortage of strikers because people aren't playing with them. So who would you get? Who would, if I'm not saying I think Balogun is the elite goal scoring striker in the mode of the ones you've just discussed. No, I don't think he's Thierry Henry. I don't think he's Nicola Anelka. I don't think he's Ian Wright. I don't know though. I don't know if Ian Wright was Ian Wright at that age. You know, I think there's a point where you have to accept that it's not Eddie Nketiah.
Yeah, and again, like I said, it's not about.
We do need to up front.
Need something. We can't have just one striker for the whole season. But we don't know if
I don't think we have one striker for the whole season. We've got. Well, look, it's getting too late to sign someone. There isn't anyone to sign, and we do have other players that can. Trossard could play up front. We have Jesus and Trossard that can play up front. Obviously, Kai Havertz has played up front. I wouldn't rule Emil Smith-Rowe out of doing a good job up there, or Saka. I just don't. I think we're not going to necessarily need, we're not necessarily going to need the kind of striker that everyone would want. And so, it costs so much to get good strikers. Osimhen, silly money, and I don't think he's the guy either. I cannot put my finger on a single striker that hasn't already been tried and failed in the Premier League. So Romelu Lukaku's going.
Heavens, and we don't play like way, which you've already alluded to. The other point is the signing of Havertz makes the need for a false 9, in my opinion, even greater, because he's the Raumdeuter, and he is going to exploit the space that a false 9 basically vacates or makes.
Is he though? I mean, I know that it's been talked about, but like he hasn't been playing anything like a Raumdeuter position. He didn't play last night. I mean, yesterday there wasn't this kind of roaming. If you look at his heat maps for the games he's played, it's pretty much in one position. It's not that all over the place.
I think that he's got the instincts to be a Raumdeuter, but that he is having to be taught a certain amount of positional discipline in the short term, and then let his instincts flourish afterwards.
I think Emil Smith-Rowe looks like he could play that midfield position. I'd love to think that Fabio Vieira is going to kick on from that goal yesterday and play really well. I'm hugely sceptical. I would say that even if I agreed that we need a striker, or a striker was something we should go for, there isn't one. There aren't any. There just aren't.
I agree. I do agree. There's not one sufficiently superior to what we can promote within the squad. Even if Havertz wasn't, the false 9, there's a part of me that thinks that Smith-Rowe could be better in that position than him anyway. It's really difficult to say, but there's no one out there who's head and shoulders above what we've got.
I mean, look at the teams that really need someone up there as well. I mean, Chelsea really needs someone up there. Man United really needs someone up there. They're teams that are really going to struggle for goals without a striker. And Man United are going through. I mean, I remember 4 or 5 months ago, just when I started the channel, actually, Højlund was someone that would hit the radar, and everyone was talking about that he might be interested. And he just seems to me like a bit of a gamble. And he seems like a real gamble to me. Red Eye Goon has said, I like Tony. Don't trigger me. Do not trigger me. I bet you do.
No, not Tony.
No, he's just not like. And hello, Lee from Dad's Army, Football Dad's Army. He said Felix. I don't know about this.
No, Felix. Yeah, we were interested in him in the winter, weren't we? But how many times are you going to flop before you say, perhaps he's not what I thought he was?
It's not even the flop; it's the cost. It's like he cost 12 million on loan, and first game gets sent off. I don't even know. It's not for me. I think he's a really good player, but he's not really for me. I definitely wouldn't touch Tony with someone else's. I think we're set up to score goals. I don't worry about us scoring goals. We have to stop shipping quite so many goals. And I'm comfortable that we're doing that. We need a slight improvement. I think we're seeing it. I think we're seeing more of a squad. I think Timber will get games. Tomiyasu's fit again. Saliba's fit again. Ben White, gets games, whatever happens. I think the Champions League, look, we just don't know yet, right? On the face of it, people talking about, it's going to be lots of games. We hope it is. It could just be 6 games, and it might be 6 games against, 2 really good clubs and 1 really crap club. So if you're playing, I don't want to name a crap club off the top of my head, but we all know the kind of Grasshopper Zurich end up in our group, and then you think, well, do we
young
really
boys,
need to play our
young boys, if they're even in it? Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I'll answer that. Even though our manager has been, going through the rough stuff in Ibrox and in Everton, this Havertz signing is, for me, very much a technical, tactical sort of Champions League kind of signing. He's not so much a Premiership signing. He's not nuts and bolts. He's not rough and tumble. He might win a couple of aerial duels because he's tall, but he's not a physical player. But in the Champions League, you don't have to be as physical. You can be more tactical, and he's very, very tactical. So I've got a feeling we're going to do well in the Champions League with this apparently new system, new tactics, and we might struggle in the Premiership for a season or 2.
I'd be surprised. I think that we're set up to play the Premier League, and the Champions League it's a cup competition. Like saying how you're going to. But on that question, away at the Bernabeu, Jesus
Mane?
Injured. Who would you rather have up front, Eddie, Balogun, or Mane?
Well,
to be fair, I think he's on the move actually. But to be fair,
he's on the move to Saudi Arabia.
Well, he's looking shocking at the moment, got to say. I mean, I know he hasn't had a great time. I know he hasn't had a great time at Bayern, but yeah.
Well, I'll answer the question on the post.
I mean, and also, Football Dad's Army is right. Yeah, when he says he plays on the left.
Yeah, it'd be Flo for me.
I want to see him play. I mean, what we need to see him play. Like, it's just, it's got to be at a certain point. Let's find out.
If you have to choose, it would be Flo for me. Yeah. But that's because he's a striker. I'm not. I mean, this time last year, I thought Nketiah had the opportunity, that had the potential of being a world-class striker, and he had a few chances, and he didn't take them as well as I would like, and now he's relegated to be a very good striker for me, and we need a great one.
What makes him a very good striker? Just so I know, because it's not his goal scoring record.
The amount of money we get from him when we sell him.
Yeah, which I mean, I don't see Palace, but Palace aren't stumping up 40 million for Eddie.
I'd be amazed, but English transfer fees, England to England, they can be really, really high.
No, it can be. Well, there are some teams in England that have the money to splash out for big players, but it ain't Palace, and it's not West Ham. West Ham are sitting on this 105 million. They're getting absolutely no idea what to do with it because everywhere they look to spend money, it's like, what, 105 million pounds, please.
Yeah. Well, look, Red Eye says reportedly 17 million fee wanted. If you can pick up Mane for 17 million and he wants to come, yes,
no, this is what I'm saying. Like, as somebody who watches a lot of Bayern, Bayern got themselves in all kinds of trouble, hoping that and this was under Nagelsmann, where he couldn't find a way to replace Lewandowski. And they hoped that Mane and Sane would contribute goals, and it just didn't happen. And they have played Mane up front. They've tried advanced everything. I mean, this is what I'm saying. Bayern, when they played City, were playing Serge Gnabry up front. They don't have a front man. They're desperate for a Harry Kane. But Mane didn't do the business at Bayern, and that's in the German league.
Yeah. Well, so therefore we're doubting the strength of those rumours. I doubt the rumours. I don't think you could pick up Mane for 17 million. But if he was there, if he was that cheap, I'd buy him and sell him on in the same off season. To be honest, because you make a fat profit that way.
Man United would be buying him, or one of the teams. If Mane could go for 17 million, it's just not happening. I think we're at a point now where a lot of the we signed 3 players that we needed. We did need at least 2 of them. We needed a right back and a centre back. Timbers so far looks really promising.
It does, yeah. Everyone's excited. 1 second, please.
Yeah. So let's have another look here. Jesus or Zinni didn't do the business at City, though. Very true. But you're talking about younger players. You're talking about young, in terms of in football years, they're still coming into their best years. I'm not sure about Zinni not doing the business. I think he was behind Cancelo. Cancelo, for me, would be a player I'd still love to see us get, but Man City seem to be doing an absolutely phenomenal job of somehow grabbing hold of their players and stopping them from leaving. So we've got, Bernardo Silva looks like he's staying now. Kyle Walker looks like he might be staying now. So if they're able to hold on to Cancelo even, which would be remarkable because he was booed by the fans at the Etihad. But yeah, so when you say Jesus or Zinni didn't do the business at Manchester City, they kind of did. But Zinni wanted to leave. And
yeah, they didn't crash out. They weren't rubbish.
No.
They were valued squad players, as far as I recall.
There wasn't any real effort to get rid of them. It was more that they didn't want to play. I mean, Jesus has it in his head that he's a number 9. It's in his head, and so that
it's in Mikel's head as well.
Listen, what I love about Jesus, which I think we all do, is that his hold-up play, the way he brings other players in. He was exciting again yesterday, and if he starts the season with that form,
energy.
I love watching him play.
Infectious, isn't it?
I love watching him play. I just don't like that expression he always pulls. No, it's always like he's just got the wrong birthday present. Do you know what I mean? It's like the year I got Chelsea.
Do you remember when you were a kid and your mum said, "If be careful, if the wind changes, you'll be stuck like that." Yeah,
and it did. Yeah, but I remember one year, my mum, when I was into American football, as you remember, I like the Rams when they were the LA Rams the first time round. And my mum bought me a Dallas Cowboys top, and she was like, "Oh, it's all the same in it." And I was like, "It's just not really how sports works." And you think that's bad? She bought me a Chelsea top once because she liked the colour. I was like,
hello.
That's never getting worn. That is never getting that. Not even decorating.
You heard this first on the Goonie channel.
Never even wore it I wouldn't wear that decorating. Can you imagine anything more stupid?
And when I was about 7 years old, I followed West Ham because my great grandmother was a supporter there. So
that's the end of the stream. We have an infiltrator, your undercover agent, trying to get back the money from Declan Rice. Well,
I should have got on those when you went to Declan Rice blogs where they were going, "Yeah, well, you're rubbish and we're laughing at you."
I want to say.
Go ahead.
Yeah, go on. No, go on.
I'm talking about the Jesus Zinni. I have to agree with Dan on this one. It's not they didn't do the business. It's not black and white. I don't think Pep really wanted them to go. They wanted to go, and he was happy. He was okay to let them go.
And now, look at it now. I was saying this when you popped off for a moment. The difference in Pep right now, there's such a desperation to Man City because they really can't replace Bernardo Silva if he goes. They really, I'm surprised. If you go back and look at the press conference that Pep Guardiola does about Kyle Walker when they're saying, could he play inverted? He goes, no, he can't play that. He doesn't have that kind of brain. He's not fit for that system. He's not in my system. And then he's benching him and bringing in players to play instead of him. And then at the end of the season, Kyle Walker gets an offer to go to Bayern, really decent 2-year contract. And he turns around and goes, no, please don't go. It's like, well, you didn't think this far ahead. You didn't think, well, once you've done the press conference saying he's crap and can't play your system, you didn't think maybe he'd want to leave. You know, Bernardo Silva.
He dropped him in the middle of the season as well.
Yeah,
but he had to bring him back. He was too good not to play. So you know, he
didn't play him in the final. He didn't play him in the final.
He was playing him up till the final. He was playing
him 2 games. No, not every game. Not every game. He played him 2 games before the semi-final. He played him because he had Vinicius Junior to deal with. And listen, all I would say to that,
and he handled it. Yeah.
Yeah, of course, because Kyle Walker is like greased lightning. He's, you know, he's insanely fast. And I would just say that there's, when I was saying when you popped off a moment ago, is Cancelo. I can understand him grabbing hold of Bernardo Silva, begging him and saying, "Please don't go. I'll love you forever if you stay. I know you've wanted to go every season. Like the last 2 years, you wanted to go, and I've promised you that." It's like an abusive relationship kind of partner going, "Look, I'll change, please. You know, I'll play you up wherever you want to play.
Give me one more chance.
Give me one more chance." I get that. But Cancelo, that's incredible to me that it looks like he's staying. Because that's a man who's booed by his own fans. His fans don't like him anymore. What it points to for me is that Man City are not prepared for this transfer window. Yeah, really not.
That vibe too. I really have. I really get that impression. The fact they haven't been linked with things, they just got this, what seemed like an opportunistic signing from Chelsea. And I'm sure he'll make a good player of him. Whether he'll be that good that quickly, you know, you've got that Chelsea hangover to consider that we're going through with Havertz at the moment, and we had to go through with Juninho. You know, these people are traumatized.
Yeah, I don't know.
They need therapy before they even get back on the training pitch. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I'm not. I mean, the whole Chelsea thing for me is. Now I'm currently. I know I said this earlier. I'm looking at. After doing the video explaining why I didn't think City would win, which is a sacrilege. You're not allowed to say that if
because you personally bottled it.
I did, as you correctly pointed out, I did bottle the league, and therefore I'm not entitled to say when I think City are a weaker team.
So
City, for my money, if you lose a quarter of the players that you used last season and don't replace them, that is the definition of weaker. I do think that Rico Lewis looks great. I think that. Palmer, who's the right side? Is his name Cole Palmer, the right-sided midfielder? He's about.
Blood lad.
He's going off on loan. There's a couple of players that look good, but do they look Riyad Mahrez good? No, not really. You know, there aren't that many that do look Riyad Mahrez good. To be honest with you, I think
even Riyad Mahrez, you know, he still needed a year to adjust to Guardiola. So I mean. You just don't bring in people like for like. It's not possible. You've got to adapt, and a quarter of the team. I don't think it's any team that could adapt that quickly. Even
how is it controversial to say? Oh, you've lost your captain, the guy who scored both goals in the cup final where you won the treble, the guy who scored both goals against Leeds where you got 3 points where you might otherwise have got no points. The guy who scored 8 goals both seasons, clutch goals, important times. How's it not okay to say if you lose your captain, who's that good, to Barcelona, that you're a weaker team? If you're not a weaker team when you lose him, why were you paying him in the first place? Why?
A really good manager knows when to let people go.
Yeah,
so he tried
when they want to.
He left anyway.
Yeah, like a really good manager knows that the time to let a player go is not when you want him to go, but when he wants to go.
Absolutely. Please stay. No.
No, you genius manager, you genius. Absolutely. How do you do it?
Brilliant.
Pep, you absolute legend. Look, I think, but the next one I'm looking at is Man United. I'm really fascinated by Man United. I'm not sure they're good enough to finish in the top 4.
I feel the same way, but the bookies don't agree with us, do they?
I couldn't care less. I mean, the bookies, you know what? I don't have any love for bookies anyway. But yeah, they've given us 8-1 odds on winning the league next season. Right. I mean, they're begging for my money, aren't they? That's what they want. They want to pay for my holiday.
It's a gimme price. It is a gimme price. I know most people are saying that there's only 2 teams that can win it next season. But there we go, Man United.
Listen, I'm never going to say that. I'm never going to say that. There's too, we forget every season anew. We forget how many games it is and how the way that a league goes, at start to middle to finish. It is, it's not predictable.
The role that momentum and then confidence plays.
Yeah, I think Ange Postecoglou could turn Tottenham into a mid-table team with a lot of work. I think that Chelsea might be challenging for the Europa places. I honestly think
they need a winger. They need a winger. If they're going to do that, they need a winger. Definitely. Or two.
Since we're on the banter, have you seen this from Lee?
Oh, here we go.
Did you hear Kane to Arsenal?
A few times.
Yeah, we let him go, didn't we? I do want to talk about Kane, actually. I want to talk about Kane Yes, I do. Because I feel like I wasn't at the meeting the whole world went to where you all decided that he's brilliant. And I never got the memo. I didn't go to the meeting. I don't rate him. Everyone talks about him like proven goal scorer. They were saying today on Football Terrace, they were saying, without doubt, if Kane went to Man United, Man United would win the league. I'm like, what are you on about? He said, what? Like, how did that happen? Who's waka, waka, waka? Like, it's just craziness. He's amazing. Like, he'll score you goals when you don't need him, but you don't need him. That's the point. Like, nothing would make me happier in a really bizarre way. I love Bayern Munich, right? I'd love him to go to Bayern. Come on, Mir Sandhord. I'd love them. I'd love those fans to take a good, long, hard look at him and just be after about 3 days. Like, what? He was good. Did he score a shitload of goals? Because they had Lewandowski. And the truth about Lewandowski is, and I love Lewandowski, not necessarily as a human being, but definitely as a person who gets you important goals, right? No one really worked out how he does it. It's like he scores off his arse, off his hip, off his shoulder. He's just a goal scorer. He's just a Gary Lineker. He's in the right place at the right time.
Movement, tactical awareness, isn't it?
But the difference is Lewandowski and Kane. I think Kane's got a bit of everything, and he's got a good shot from outside the area. He's got pace. He's got all of this. He's got back to goal. He's great and everything. But he's got this confidence issue, which means he's crap. And I would love to see him go to Man United, but I guarantee they won't win the league with Harry Kane. I don't even know how people are talking about £100 million for him. I mean, he looks like he's petrified of the idea of leaving Tottenham, because at Tottenham, he's accepted as being this great player. He knows if he went to Real Madrid or to Bayern Munich, he would get a couple of weeks, couple of months, and people would start being like, no, you need to start scoring these goals, Harry. I mean, the language problem isn't going to be there because no one understands him here either. But like when you get to these big clubs, they don't give you. I mean, I'd love him to. Oh God, if there was any way he could go to Chelsea, that would just be like Christmas. Could we do that? Can we all manifest that for me, please?
If he went to Bournemouth, he could appear in a little cubicle beating up Judy with a policeman and a crocodile and a string of sausages. Yeah. Good shout.
This one is England captain playing in Germany. Yeah, I don't think he should be why is he our captain?
Yeah.
There are better captains out there. Declan Rice is a better captain. Enough said.
Definitely. Mm-hmm.
Jude Bellingham, he looked solid. He did look good, and it's really funny where they're playing him. They're not even playing him in defensive midfield. They're playing him just behind the.
If he was playing Arsenal, I'd play him in Xhaka's position.
Yeah, they're playing him ahead of that. They're playing him in Odegaard's position.
Oh right.
Yeah, they've got Tchouaméni behind him. Listen.
They've got an embarrassment of riches at central midfield in that club. It's unfair.
Yes, they have Camavinga. It's like.
You can see why they sold Casemiro now.
But
understandable.
But what's amazing about that team is, it's like you said. But look at the transformation. So out goes Kroos, out goes Modric, and in comes these other. Like it's just what a waste! What a waste of a team that good in a league like La Liga. Do you know what I mean? Like
in the 2-horse race league. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think Barcelona are in trouble. Well, everyone knows they're in trouble because they can't sign the players they need. There's too much. I mean, is Rafinha staying? Is Rafinha going? All of that,
They hate him over here. They're not fans of Rafinha at all. You get about 5 games here in Barcelona, Real Madrid. If you don't perform as a winger or a striker, that's it. The people turn against you and you're gone. Even Bale's got great numbers for Real Madrid. They hated him pretty much the whole time.
Well, that's one thing that I have hugely in common with Real Madrid fans, and because he is a detestable individual. I mean, this is people will say that I get on Kane's back because he's Spurs. Nope. There have been lots of good Spurs players in the past. I've seen players play for Spurs and thought, yeah, they're good.
Yeah, Modric. That's about it.
Modric, definitely. Gascoigne, definitely. Lineker, definitely. Jurgen Klinsmann, definitely. Darren Anderton, I always rated him when he played for Tottenham. There's been good Tottenham players. You can't. Gareth Bale was a good Tottenham player. There's no getting away. Sol Campbell, another really good Tottenham player. Pat Jennings, good Tottenham player. We've had some good players off them, and they've had some good players. I'm not saying that. For me, though, Harry Kane, you watch. Mark my words, everybody. He goes to a big club, he flops. He flops.
I think he knows it. I think he knows that. I honestly do. I don't think he wants to go abroad. I don't think he wants another signing. I think he's happy being a big fish in a small pond. And I don't personally mind that.
It's not a pond.
Puddle.
No, it's not even a pond. It's a sewage outlet. It's what you call it. It's a it's a silage tank.
Yeah, no.
Septic tank.
He's right. He does always score against us, but there's lots of people that score against us that are crap. I mean,
Ivan Toney scores against us.
It was the guy that's gone, the Liverpool bloke that could score in a brothel, but scored against us for fun. The Italian sounding lad, he's gone now. He was scored against us last season as well. The winner, the equaliser.
Yeah. Came on, didn't he?
Oh shit, I can't remember his name.
Fabinho.
And it wasn't Fabinho. It was very similar to that, though.
Firmino.
Firmino, yeah. He was used to score against us. We have a strange thing, Robbie Fowler. He's still scoring against us now. He retired years ago.
I would really love this to be true, Red Eye Gooner. If I think Kane goes to United on a free next season, I hope that they fail to qualify for the Champions League.
Both fronts, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a marriage made in heaven, isn't it?
Well, I love the bankruptcy of Spurs plus the completely undermining the Man United squad. It's a double whammy. I could have wet dreams about, to be perfectly honest. Yeah.
I quite like the idea of it, indeed. But I just don't rate him, and I know everyone does, and I know everyone will tell you that he's got. I think there's just so much laziness. Once it's a fact, people never question it anymore. Oh yeah, I mean he's Harry Kane's best goal scorer of his generation. Yeah, but he's not though, is he? Well, because and then people go, oh well, yeah, they just wouldn't let him leave Tottenham. It's like, what are you talking about? We had a conversation earlier about Kylian Mbappe and Paris Saint-Germain being upset because he released publicly. Well, Harry Kane is too nice. That's his problem. I don't want any too nice strikers being captain of England. I want some bloody nasty ones being captain of England. I want us to play Spain in the World Cup and them go, no, you took it too seriously. We were just trying to play some nice football and you went and scored 4 goals. It's not, I want to upset people. I want our teams I support, and I do support England in tournaments, and that's about the only time. But if Arsenal, I don't want anyone to like us. I like the fact that we're popular all over the world. Don't get me wrong, but I think part of that is the whole Arsene Wenger thing, where we weren't nasty, and didn't win much. We were pretty inoffensive. I think Harry Kane. People say, oh, he's too nice to throw his toys out of the pram and leave Tottenham. He's probably too nice to score 30 goals a season, then, isn't he? Like he's not. I mean, that Tottenham. He's anyway. I'm down the Kane rabbit.
I think he agrees with you. I think Kane, in his soul, agrees with you that he is the big fish in the small pond, and he's happy to be that way. I think he's got his eye on the Premiership record. He wants to have a legacy for himself, and he'll probably get it where he is. Whereas he makes a move, wherever he moves to, he'll be exposed, and he'll have to deliver out of his comfort zone. I don't think he wants to do
that film Good Will Hunting, where Matt Damon and Ben Affleck drives Matt Damon to the building site every day, and they get talking about it. He goes, I don't want to go to
part of every day.
Yeah, And he goes, don't take this the wrong way, but if I'm still dropping you off in 4 years' time, I'm gonna fucking kill you. You know, it's like, and I kind of feel like the Tottenham fans are saying that to Harry Kane now. They're like, look, we have to be fans, but what are you doing here? You're good. Go and show the world how good you are. And you know, and he's kind of
really
turns
good.
up,
That's classic.
he turns up for work every day, and he's like, oh, you want to play this? They're like, just don't know what you said. But go to Man United, be free. And then he gets up there and he shits himself and comes back 2 years later, and Posteglou's probably still in charge. I don't know.
He should. I think we all know he should have gone on the last transfer, the last contract.
They'll tell you that Levy wouldn't let him go. It's like, what are you talking about? What power has Levy got? Is he into my eyes, directly into my eyes? What was that?
That was Siri on one of my phones being annoying.
It sounded more like The Exorcist than Siri.
Yeah, it sounded like a bit of the two. Yeah.
So I'm surprised at how little Newcastle have done in the transfer business, in the transfer market. Sorry, but I'm not ruling them out. There's that Newcastle Amazon Prime documentary coming out, which should be really great. Liverpool, well, I have to say, when I thought about this transfer window, I thought Liverpool will go out and they will put a midfield together. Obviously, Henderson's gone now, so they've lost the captain of 12 years. I mean, the midfield they've lost are pretty serious midfield. They lost Fabinho's off as well. But I just thought when they went out, that I'd love that they got McAllister and Szoboszlai. Great. But Lavia, they're messing around with Lavia. I mean, that's not what I was thinking of Premier League. I don't think they're doing enough.
But I mean, Lavia, everyone knows that Lavia is a signing for a season or two's time. He's not quite there yet.
Is Klopp going to be there? Klopp's never done more than 7 years at a club. It was the same at Dortmund. It's just kind of because of his high intensity, high octane football. Players burn out, and he needs to replace them, and he hasn't done that this time. I don't know if he was expecting to be here. You know, like people say that the great man plants a tree that he knows you'll never see the shade of. I think Klopp and Pep and people like that, they build these teams to get them just to where they need them to, and then they're like, well, I'm off. And now Klopp's been kind of emotionally blackmailed into staying. Pep,
I don't know. He might be butthurt by how bad last season went. You know, he might feel he's got a point to prove.
Yeah.
You know, whereas Pep won everything last season, so what points he got to prove? Klopp had an absolute.
No, I think it's different. I think just to be clear,
flop in a cowpat last season, and
to be clear, I'm not comparing them. I'm saying that Pep in winter was looking at it, going, we've got a really good chance of winning the Champions League this year, but. Just hedge my bets, let's say 2 more years, right? And he's done it early. So he's now, you know, if someone says to you, how long is it going to take?
What do I do now?
Yeah. And like he isn't. And, you know, he said in the interview after the Champions League, I'm just going to take a break and rest. And that's not the Alex Ferguson energy. Alex Ferguson would have been next day going, right, how do we win it again? And I think Pep's not there. But with Klopp, I think it's this kind of like, all right, let's do this then. You know, let's build another team here at Liverpool, even though it's not the ideal place to build a new team. And you do have, you know, I don't know. This is a point I wanted to read out. As much as I don't like to say it, I think if Kane went to Man United and didn't have to drop deep so much and could stay in and around the box with creative players around him, it might be problems. Yeah, but there's a couple of things I want to pick up on that.
Good comment.
Yeah, excellent comment. But I don't necessarily understand it on one level, because with creative players around him.
Well, I think it's the same. It's the same point twice, isn't it? Having to drop too deep. If he had the creative players around him and a little bit more steel, he wouldn't have to drop so deep. I mean, Kane comes so deep for Spurs, doesn't he? You know, I think he likes it. It's difficult to tell, isn't it? It's difficult to tell. He might do, but it was getting a joke. And some of my Spurs mates, I was commenting to them saying, "What's going on? He's picking up in front of the back two now."
He's literally he's libero sometimes. He's like, he's like,
I know, it's absurd.
I think that's nuts. I think if it was an Alan Shearer, an Ian Wright, or a Gary Lineker, or one of those goal scorers, of Ruud van Nistelrooy, they're not coming that deep. They're like, Get me the cocky ball.
They've got a half decent midfield among them. So.
Yeah, but so this is, he wouldn't have said it with creative players around him. But this is what I've been doing all day. I've been looking at Man United's team.
Man United's great players.
Just not impressed. I mean, look.
Right.
I've got it all written out, right? But without going into that, Fernandes, captain. Sancho, they've broken him. They've just broken him. He's gone from being one of my favourite players to just not even getting into the England squad.
They've Chelsea'd him. They've
literally just ruined him. It's like lending somebody a jacket and they're like, they comes back and it's stretched all to crap or something. I don't know. But Anthony, somebody talk to me. Anyone got any opinions on Anthony that don't differ? The man cannot play football. I don't know what we're all. He scored 4 goals last season. Between Sancho and Anthony last season, they got 10 goals, right? Rashford, who everybody thinks is the greatest thing since sliced bread, should be playing
since Kane.
Yeah, should be playing on the left wing. Has to play up front because they've got literally no one else. And then you've got Eriksen and Casemiro.
Eriksen's getting on. He's a little bit broken as well.
Eriksen's a vampire. We know that now, right? We've it's been proven. It's clearly not a human being. Do you know what I mean?
I want to drink your blood.
I want to play for Man United. But I think what I will say about every good manager, and I think Ten Hag's a good manager, they fix the back first. And I think he's got a solid. I think if you look at the back 4, I like it. I'm not sure about Dalot or Bissaka, which one I go for, but you can't. There's nothing wrong. Martinez maybe gets too many cards, but Varane, Martinez, Shaw, and Dalot or Bissaka, that's a good back 4.
For now, I mean, they're getting on. I think Bissaka might get moved on.
Martinez
doesn't know if he's a fullback or a centre back. There are a few issues there. But, I mean, what he does is he's a good manager. He drills the team well. They're solid. They did better than I expected last season. I'm telling you. I didn't expect them to overtake Newcastle like they did.
Okay, well, I think that's circumstantial because they scored 58 goals last season. So if it wasn't for the fact that they conceded the 3rd fewest or 4th fewest goals last season, they would probably have been 6th or 7th. It's not enough goals.
It was tight. It was tight at that level. Below us and Man City, it was tight, wasn't it?
Brentford scored more goals than Man United last year.
Right.
Brentford scored more goals than Man United. Spurs scored
Man United to get an elbowy, foully, lanky forward.
Well, somebody gives a shit, and everyone can stop telling me how great Rashford is because he scored 17 goals. Anyway. So I think to the point, it is a good point. If Kane went to United, he wouldn't have to drop so deep. 100% agree with that.
He wouldn't. No, I agree.
Or Ten Hag would threaten to cripple him if he did. Just go look.
Well, yeah, and the point is, they might not have the best midfield in the world, but they do have a better midfield than Spurs.
Yeah, everyone has a better midfield than Spurs. We've had the dual impact of Mourinho and Conte, both in charge of a club. And what you end up with is we're playing a 9-1-1. It's the keeper is our front, defender. This is a tragedy what's happened to Tottenham, and I love every minute of it. But I think that I don't know if maybe Conte was saying to Harry, look, when you get a chance, get in our own area and just hang around in there for a bit. Or maybe he wasn't saying that. I think if you looked across the team at Spurs, everyone. I mean, Son came out and apologised for his season, didn't he? He said, "I've been shit."
Yeah, he was shy. Yeah, he was rubbish, and he can be.
He wasn't Richarlison, was he? I mean,
no.
I mean, what a front 3 that turned out to be. Kulusevski, Son, and Kane, and you can Richarlison on the bench. Just in case you have a really fat person on the other end and it tips up, you just put your Richarlison on.
Yeah, and then when all Spurs fans are, well, he was injured. So, what's he playing for then?
Why did you pay 60 million for him then? Because he was injured.
Why did you play him in loads of games? Whether substitute or otherwise, he did play. He just didn't score.
I want to give Football Dad's Army credit for that comment as well. Villa top 4 this year. I can see it. I can
I can
absolutely see it.
I like
see
their
it.
signings. I wanted both those signings at Arsenal. Both of them. The two recent ones.
With one of the ones we were linked with was Douglas Luiz. I really rate him. I think he's a very Ollie Watkins up front. I think they have got they've got the makings of a really good top four side.
Do you reckon Ollie Watkins, heir apparent for Kane as England's number 9? Could be.
I had a conversation with someone at work about it, and we were trying to work out if something happened to Harry Kane, obviously I'd be a suspect. But if something happened to Harry Kane, who would play up front for England? And I was like, I suppose it would have to be Ivan Toney. Well, no, but he's a good player. He's not my cup of tea, but or Callum Wilson, you still got. He's still.
I'd take Watkins over either of those two. But it depends who Tony's betting on, obviously. But we won't go into.
No, but it is in world football right now. This isn't an England problem. Look at Germany. Who are the great forwards in Germany at the moment? They're not coming to Tottenham to buy a forward because they've got so many of their own. There are very few. Funnily enough, Man City have 2 of the best forwards around. And Alvarez, I think we might see a lot of this season. And he worries me a bit. A lot, actually. I think he's a great player.
Alvarez is a great player.
Hello, about this. Eddie
Nketiah about England's number 9, England's number 9. Yeah.
Oh, I like Eddie. He's horrible.
Yes, I'd love it. I'd love it to be the case. I really would. Yeah.
Well, he's never going to be a England striker, is he?
No.
He's never going to win.
More time on this. The kids can't sleep. Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
All right.
You got told.
Yeah, that was unbelievable. Freaking believable. Anyway, I am going to have to go. And we're going to have to pick this up another time. We're going to have to find another place to do this blog from because I've tried turning the laptop around and that hasn't worked. So I'll probably go up the roof next time.
Did you just turn the light? You just got.
I just got lit.
I just
got unlit.
The floodlights.
There's complaints about the kids being able to go to bed.
No, I can hear it. I'm able to hear what she's. I think. Yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of her to share that with you.
Yeah, and everyone else.
Yeah.
I'm just going to put that there.
Idea.
Hello. Very good idea.
Love the idea.
Yeah, we are. Then that's a definite yes. Yes, we are. We'll do that 100%. Oh, I can't wait to win that.
I need 3 Arsenal players though. We should set that up. We should set that this week. That's a fantastic idea. I can't believe we didn't think of it ourselves.
Well done. Absolutely. Yes. HighBrarians Fantasy League team. I'm on that. I'm all over that. Let's sort that out. Hopefully, yes, it's a brilliant idea.
Yeah.
On that shockingly brilliant idea, which you don't get a lot of that on the HighBrarians.
No. Red Eye, you'll be the first to be invited, but you're going to have to share your details so that we can invite you. Or do you know who Red Eye is?
No, just send me a message or post a comment or just get in touch. I'm afraid I'm not even au fait enough to know how you would get. There's an email address on the Guna channel, and if you send me an email, I will reply immediately and with details. And I think it's a fantastic idea, and I'm so glad that you came up with it.
So yes, there we go. All right then. Until next, and I'll be up on the roof.
He's sleeping on the roof.
Yeah, probably.
All right. Thank you everybody for joining us. Really enjoyed it, and I'll see you all next week.
Cheers.
Cheers.